We're live and uncensored on the Cinema 9 podcast. That's right. I love doing this show. Happy trails to all of you. That means goodbye, actually. Good evening to you, or good morning, good tidings. A spirited welcome to you all. It's Cinema 9, Cinema9pod at ProtonMail.com. Cinema 9 is hosted by myself, Michael Govier, Travis Roy, Eric Brandstrom. Travis Roy, you're one of the hosts of the show. How do you feel about it?
And so it is that I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about this. Yeah. I feel great. I feel grand.
Even though we're going to talk about Closer, the 2004 film that has a lot of serious scenes.
I feel like there may have been parts of this movie that I may have thought were funny when I was younger.
Really?
You know? But there is like one funny scene. I don't know. Obviously we'll save it. But yeah, I've got a lot to say about it. I'm chomping at the bit. I'm champing at the bit. Excuse me.
Champ is chomping. All right. Yes, we'll
Not
cover
You're
Does
champing.
It Hold Up or Not? Our signature segment in the middle of this show later on. Closer, 2004 film by Mike Nichols. Eric Brandstrom in Griffith, Indiana. It's Thursday. It's 7:15 Eastern time, 6:15 your time. How has daylight savings time impacted you?
Dude, it's fucking amazing. I'm on spring break here, so I've got the whole week off. So
Yay!
I've been watching so many movies. I'll get up at like 5 in the morning because my daughter wakes up and I'll watch like a movie by like 6:50 a.m. It's been unreal. My eyeballs are killing me. I've stuffed so many in that I'm excited to talk about.
That's great.
That's beautiful. I remember the spirited joy of a vacation as a teacher. Those were great times. They really were. And you never wanted them to end. And you really took it. At least I mostly never did anything. I stayed at home, watched movies like you. And I did go to Vegas once. That was fun. That was a good time. But I'm so happy for you. Eric, remember we went to Vegas that first time and I ate like 4 prime ribs? That was a
Who
lot of
could
prime
forget?
rib.
Remember the eclair? Who could forget the Vegas eclair?
Yes, the overpriced eclair in a fucking
Yeah,
display
man.
case in Vegas. God, Vegas. It's such a dump.
Something in Vegas was overpriced.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vegas is Vegas is pretty gross, actually. I don't think I recommend it, but we've had some good
Dude.
times there.
Well,
I've never
always
been.
gotta be
It
eclair.
seems like the Fast and the Furious of the cities.
Yes, it is. I think that's very much true. But
So
we'll
I've never
always
seen that
have-
either.
They've got. I've never seen one of those, by the way. I've seen scenes that exist on the internet, but I've never sat down and watched a Fast and Furious film.
Good.
And I know there's 9 of them, 10, maybe?
19.
19.
Oh,
See,
There's
I was
19
incorrect.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll always have Ellis Island karaoke, Eric. See,
Yeah,
Vegas
yes,
will
we
never
will.
suck, only because Ellis Island exists and they have great karaoke at Ellis Island.
Right.
And of course, tribute to
Rest
Fred.
in peace,
I don't-
Mumbles.
Yeah, is he dead? I think Fred passed away.
He's dead.
That's what this guy did, man. He dressed up like. Sometimes he would dress up like Elvis. He always did Elvis songs. This guy was so bizarre, and I can see it now. It was some of the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. So thank you for that, Vegas. At least you gave us that. But this show's not about Vegas. It's about movies, and we wanted to say farewell to Jessica Walter. She was probably best known for her Arrested Development character, which is a TV show, but she was also in movies. The first one that comes to mind for me is PCU. I can't think of a lot of other movie roles that come to mind with her, frankly, but she paid her dues, and she is a legend because that character on Arrested Development will always be like iconic. It really is an iconic. I think it's iconic character now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shout out to George Segal. Segal?
Oh yes,
Siegel?
George.
I've never known.
Yeah,
Is it Siegel or Segal?
I thought I
Probably
said it was
Siegel.
Siegel. I thought it was
Probably
Siegel.
Anyways, so shout out to him.
Yeah, a lot of people died.
Yeah, he was in films more in the 70s, stuff I haven't really seen, but he was
California
out-
Split.
I know that Luke likes some of the stuff that a friend of the show, Luke, likes some stuff that he did, but from the 70s. So I hear that he did some good stuff, but to me, he was, he'll always be the guy from the Goldbergs and Just Shoot Me, which I liked him very much in both those roles. So adios. Thank you.
We're talking Mike Nichols today, and my favorite George Segal role is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, 1966. I think he
Yeah, I've
got
never
best
seen it.
supporting, best
I never saw it
supporting
either.
nom there. He's fucking awesome in it, and it's another 4-piece based on a play, character, drama about tumultuous relationships. See it if you're inclined to.
Well, it's classic piece of cinema. It's Mike Nichols. Siegel just passed. I should probably go ahead and put that one under my viewing.
Pretty good.
But, I should do a thing.
I think the first time I ever saw George Segal was in Look Who's Talking. That was my first introduction to him as a kid. He was that annoying guy who banged Kirstie Alley and created the child that becomes Bruce Willis.
Is that him?
Voice.
He was in that?
That is George Segal.
It's been a while.
The first time I ever heard his whining, like, he's great in Flirting with Disaster. That's just him. He plays that character so well.
Yeah, he was in that.
You know? Him and Mary Tyler Moore as extremely neurotic not foster parents, they're adopted parents of Ben Stiller's character. That's a funny movie, and he's good at comedy. I'll give George Segal that, and that's it. That's all I have to say about him. If he was a rock solid actor, he's right there. He wasn't a Hall of Famer, but he was good. He was real good.
Reliable.
Rock solid.
Reliable.
Yeah,
him,
reliable.
Him and Jessica Walters both. They left a good mark. So.
Oh shit! And we didn't say this last week, and I forgot to mention it. But Yaphet Kotto had passed last week, and Yaphet Kotto definitely deserves his due. He's in a lot of classic films, but he's also a guy with a lot of integrity. And actually, our friend Luke Horbeck, who we just mentioned, who's been a guest on this show, he said it better than probably any of us could on our Is It Safe pod. He did like a whole tribute to him last week, like a 5-minute Everybody Be Quiet editorial, which I didn't know we were going to do, but it was really quite beautiful. And he was a huge fan of Yaphet Kotto. So anybody want to chime in on Mr. Kotto's passing?
If
you go ahead.
I'm just surprised. Luke actually went on too long on his own on a podcast. You don't say.
Oh man,
that's all I have.
He's
to
not
offer.
going to like that.
If you've never seen Blue Collar, we've talked it up on the show many a time. So I'm not going to.
Who directed that?
This guy, Paul Schrader, Schrader, Paul Scheider, Mr. Scheidler, Paul Scheidler directed that. But no, if you've never seen Blue Collar, give it a shot.
Paul Scheidler.
Yes, I like the laugh track to the Yaphet Kotto.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I mean, most people think of him as the dude from Alien, which of course Alien is classic, but yeah, check out Blue Collar.
Running Man. People mention Running Man, which he's
that's right. Yeah, forgot about that one.
Luke gets pissed if you mention Running Man, by the way. So that's not
why it's an American classic.
Yeah, he mentioned 2 films that I had never Blue Collar we have seen, but the other one's called Bone. Has anyone ever seen Bone that he's in? Nay. I've never seen it either, so I thought I would throw it out there. It sounds like a deeper cut, but it's supposed to be really good according to Luke. So if you're a fan of Yaphet Kotto, go back, check the catalog. He was also on Homicide. He did some good work there on a TV show that actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
No,
Midnight Run is fantastic in Brubaker, Bob Redford film. Great character actor.
And then he clearly just like retired and enjoyed the last several decades of his life and power to him.
Yeah, Luke mentioned that he was asked to be in Glory, the 1989 film about the first Black Regiment in the Civil War, but he refused because the movie was focused on the white man. So, which he's not necessarily wrong about, the Robert Shaw characters, but it's not solely like that. I think that's kind of I don't want to debate that necessarily, but he's not wrong.
We'll get to it. I'm sure we'll get around to it. But I do want to, if I may, quick shout out to a friend of the show, Chad. And this is an inside joke, but I must. The answer is Yaphet Kotto. He'll know what I'm talking about.
Nobody else will, but we could. At least we're not talking about some fucking mumbler in Vegas again,
or that's someone who takes up too many questions.
Where's Laskowski? Laskowski loves mumbles. If Laskowski was here, he'd be loving it. But he's not.
I'm sure. Yeah, but for those, anyways. So
people died.
Yes. Anybody else die?
I don't know. Not at the moment. Let me know if someone else died. But yes, let's get into our quarantine viewing picks because it's time to talk movies we've been watching and that we'd like to recommend to you. That's what we do here on the Cinema 9 Pod. Travis Roy, give us your best.
Ooh, my best. It wasn't a great week for movies, to be honest with you. I had some not so great ones. There's some okay stuff. Cage of Files. I'm a little worried about our boy. Jiu-Jitsu, this new film that Nick Cage has. It's on the top 10 on Netflix right now. So people are watching this movie Jiu-Jitsu, but it's like under 3. It's rated under 3 on IMDb, and I'm a fan. This movie might be a career worst. This is a really spectacularly bad movie, and it's so bad, and that so many people are watching it. Actually, kind of for the first time, makes me a little worried that people might be like, I'm fucking like it might like actually hurt his career for once. I don't know. At least they're not paying for it. It's fucking Netflix. I mean, they're paying for Netflix, but or their ex-girlfriend is or whatever. So I wouldn't recommend Jiu-Jitsu, which by the way, there is actual jiu-jitsu in the movie one time and Nick Cage does it, but the rest of the time it's like swords and all this other shit. I'm like, all right, this is not jiu-jitsu. I watched Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance at your recommendation,
Oh, okay.
Eric.
Okay.
That was totally worth the view. I liked it
Great.
more than Old Boy. You were right.
Awesome.
It was good. It was totally interesting. I finally watched
Great.
Mud from 2012. I never watched it because
Love Mud.
and I know it's like so highly regarded. I've watched like every other Jeff Nichols movie. But I was like, this is the same movie as this movie called The Boys Club from like the 90s that had Chris Penn in it and like Archers of Loaf on the soundtrack. So it's like the exact same plot. So I was always like, I don't know, bro. But of course I watched it and Mud was significantly better than that 90s movie.
That's good news.
I watched a good Nick Cage movie called Rage from 2014. This is definitely one of those kind of like, it's a little shitty. It is a little shitty.
A little shitty.
But it's pretty intense. It's a revenge movie, and it's just like you just watch this dude go off the fucking rails, and it's just like there's again like it's a Nick Cage movie from recent years, so temper your expectations. It's not adaptation, but I mean there's this guy that looks just like fucking Mike Ditka. It's so distracting, but anyways, it is worth checking out. Rage if you were looking for a decent Nick Cage late night film. Over the Moon, the Netflix feature gave Soul a run for its money for best animated feature of the year. It's also nominated. It was really, really good.
Okay.
Especially the technical achievements. I mean, honestly, it looks better than Soul. The movie, I don't think is as good as Soul, but it looks incredible. I really wish I'd seen it on the big screen, but it wouldn't have been an option anyways because it's Netflix.
Moon's Over Miami?
Yes, that's the one.
That's it.
Over the Moon.
Over the Moon.
I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League. Have you heard of this film?
Oh, the Snyder cut or the original?
There we go.
Did everyone watch it?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the Snyder cut yet. I got to see it. So give me another week. I'm pretty sure I'll get it done.
All right. Well, no spoilers anyways, but I will say that like everyone knew or assumed that it would be better than the Whedon cut because I mean like the bar was so low because that was just like such a mess. This was significantly better as expected, but of course it was. I mean, it's 4 hours long. You got to pace it in a way that made sense. Like, and Whedon would never have had that shot. They were not going to make this a 4-hour movie in the first place. So like, I don't know how much praise to heap on him, and it still manages to go off the fucking rails by the end. So I don't know. But it is really good. It's not as good as any Marvel movie, but it's still
wait. So it's good, but it's not as good as any Marvel movie. That's what you're saying.
It's better than the first.
Better than the Dark World.
It's better than Dark World.
Dark World, yeah.
It's better than Dark World. It's better than the first Avenger.
Okay.
And we'll leave it at that.
Maybe
It's better than Ang Lee. Ang Lee's incredible. It's better than the Incredible Hulk. The one that I'm going to recommend everybody watch, especially you, Eric, if you didn't watch it, which I've already recommended to you over our phone text thread, is The Last Blockbuster, the documentary on Netflix right now. Now if you worked at Blockbuster, fucking forget about it. Like, you were gonna love this movie. It's gonna be a time warp for you. It's gonna be like delving back in. You're gonna be CSR number 15666 or whatever you were again. That was me. But you're gonna be like plugged right back into it in a fun way. And like, it's funny because everyone, like, they are interviewing like celebrities and stuff. They're talking about like, it's being a Blockbuster employee would have been the coolest and best job of all time. It's
good
Lord.
Lord.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't pay good, but it was a pretty fucking great job.
What if you went to Blockbuster a lot? Is it enjoyable?
That was where I was going to go next. Is that even if you weren't an employee there, like, you're still going to have a lot of fun. Obviously leaning heavily on nostalgia. It's total Netflix propaganda, trying to make sure that you understand that Netflix has nothing to do with the destruction of that company, which is probably a little bit true or mostly true. I don't know, but regardless of all that noise, it is a totally entertaining watch and it really fast. I mean, it's like 1 hour and 20 or something. So definitely throw that one on, like, to be entertained. You don't have to be you don't have to be in like documentary mode. Like, it's entertaining. And that's it.
There it is. Okay. So let it be written. So let it be done. That was interesting. I'm definitely going to want to watch that Blockbuster doc because I love Blockbuster. I had so many great memories, so many good times. Blockbuster music never got its due, but at least Blockbuster is getting its own documentary. Wonderful news.
Hard to believe that there was a certain time in the world where, like, if you wanted to watch a movie, you'd go there, and if it was out, you just had to like go home and you couldn't watch it.
Yeah, that's it. You're screwed.
It's like having limited availability of things made you appreciate it more, and then or like
Absolutely, man.
owning things or being able to physically hold things made you appreciate them more.
Yeah.
It's as if that were the case.
It's a good point.
Yeah,
man.
it's so true.
All right,
Well,
so you've been
Christ.
watching a lot of movies on spring break, man. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, let's
Where
hear it.
do I start? Well, I'll start with Justice League. See, I didn't bother with Justice League 2017, so I was going into the extended cut completely fresh, man.
Oh,
So I mean, so you just bypassed like the Wendy's burger that sat in the back seat of someone's car for 2 days, and instead went for the like filet mignon, basically.
I really did. And I would send the filet mignon back because I hated the extended cut. I hated the Snyder cut. I was bored the entire time. I don't like this. I do respect for anyone that likes it. Okay. If it's your thing, cool. I'm glad that a lot of people got what they wanted, which was a cut that they felt was worthy of the filmmaker's original vision. I don't like Zack Snyder's vision of these characters. I hate what he does. I don't like what he does to Superman. He just makes them this morose dick for like 3 movies. It's just not my cup of tea. So I didn't.
I like Cyborg. I mean, I thought Cyborg, what they did with Cyborg was
From what I
great.
understand, they developed him a lot better and actually gave.
They developed him. Period.
give me my all-American Superman back, please. The one who kicks ass and doesn't like immigrants.
Oh, is that what Christopher Reeve did?
That has never been the case anywhere.
Oh,
Superman is an
Superman's
immigrant.
about?
He's created by immigrants. Part of the whole point
Yeah,
of him is,
come on,
or the
Michael.
children of immigrants is part of the whole point of Superman is like to prove the importance of immigrants in American culture, which you knew
I
that
thought he
already.
was.
Yeah,
I
Mike,
thought
come on
Superman was
now.
about defending American values. I'm sorry, my fault. So I must have
Mike,
read the wrong magazine.
Dude, you're canceled. Mike, you would like this doc I watched on HBO, Bee Gees, How to Mend a Broken Heart. It's fucking fantastic. Yeah,
It's
definitely
on
check
Max
that one
only,
out.
though, right? Is it on Max, not just HBO? Is that
I
right?
believe that might be the case. Yeah,
that's
but
why I haven't been able to see
it. We'll talk later. I watched a documentary by Alex Winter, of course, played Bill S. Preston Esquire, called Showbiz Kids. It's about child actors.
Seen it.
I dug it. I
Rock
think,
solid.
Could have benefited from some of the heavy hitters like Macaulay Culkin and Corey Feldman, but it says what it says in a nice put together way. I recommend it. Okay, Crip Camp. So I checked in with Crip Camp on Netflix, and I thought it was okay. Yeah, I thought it was okay. Could have been a little shorter, but it definitely. I like how it highlighted how folks with disabilities, what they had to deal with before the Disabilities Act was approved in the early 70s. It was just fucking nonsense. They couldn't go anywhere. They weren't appreciated. And this is a nice time capsule type movie that shows you the struggle they went through. Less Than Zero. I fucking checked back in with Less Than Zero, Greg Nellis film. I'm a fan. I dig this movie, man. I like the feel. I like the direction. I think the performances are good. Bob Downey Jr., Jamie Gertz, of course. Good God, what a woman.
It's actually, yeah. Another thing, I think it kind of holds up. I mean, not that we're going to do it on the show, but I think with time, it's not as it got shit on in its era, and it's not that bad.
Hang on, I'm sorry for the people to interrupt, especially for people that are like listening and not looking, but like Mike's background is like he's between Clive Owen and Natalie Portman, so it's just like it looks like he's about to get kissed on the cheek by both of their faces. It's very funny to look at this whole time.
Very sweet.
So just imagine, like her in the pink wig, and basically he's in a thriesome with them as we do this podcast. Carry on. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, man, I did end up watching. I ended up watching One Night in Miami, and I gotta say, I thought the film was okay. I was hoping it would have been a little bit more better. And in fact, I gotta say,
always good.
Yeah, more better is better.
Yeah. I thought the performance by the fellow who played Jim Brown was by far the standout performance for this film. Even though we got a nice cast and kind of a flimsy script, but I did like the picture. Overall, I gotta say,
Aldous Hodge played Jim Brown. Aldous Hodge.
Yeah, he was fucking fantastic.
I mean, everybody was great, but yeah, you're right. He was.
Yeah, he definitely so. I gotta say, I saw Minari, and I thought it was just a gorgeous, beautiful, moving picture that I would definitely recommend. I think it's worth the $20, to be honest with you guys, to pull the trigger, because it's just one of these just nice, trim, sweet movies about family and immigrants coming from South Korea to make their own life. It takes place in Reagan's 80s America, where they didn't have much of a chance anyway, but they do their best, and it's just a gorgeous portrait of family.
Yeah,
Mike, I think you'd really like it.
I'm like a week away from being officially fully vaccinated, and that's in theaters. I think I might make that my. I'm gonna save $20,
that'd be great.
or I will spend $14.
Yeah,
And,
that would be fucking great.
I think I'm gonna see that one in theaters.
Yeah,
Wow. You're going to the theater. You got to give us a full report,
you
by
got
the way.
to.
if you go
Fuck
to
yeah,
theater.
vaccinated. First thing I'm doing is going to a theater.
So by far my favorite. Well, I'll tell you one more that I fucking thought was fantastic. You guys have to see Uncle Frank on Amazon Prime.
I already recommended it. I already recommended it on the show.
I'm sorry. My short-term memory is fucked. I thought this was fucking fantastic.
It's great.
I don't know where Paul Bettany is not getting like at least a nomination. He was so sublime in this movie. And I don't normally care for Alan Ball, but I love the script. I love the direction, the performance. Beautiful movie.
It was a lot more subdued, I think, than some. There was no vampires, for instance, but I mean, like it was just a lot more life. It was like life.
Yeah.
It was very, very believable. It was a nice little film.
Beautiful, a
That
great,
is
honest
so
picture.
fetch.
And I warned you guys. It just after we talked about our favorite films and the Oscars, of course, I finally end up seeing Trial of the Chicago 7. I absolutely loved it so much. I almost just watched it again right when it was over.
You said
I
you
thought it was
loved
a
the script.
complete
You texted us. I was
masterpiece.
surprised.
I was blown the fuck away. And by far, the best performance I've seen all year is Mark Rylance as the counselor. So I don't know
he's
where
great.
the Academy was with that. He's fucking amazing. I love this movie so much. It's Sorkin's best work, period.
Wasn't it Travis, or if you didn't say it, someone else told me Eddie Redmayne does not belong in this film. He just does not cast properly. He doesn't.
That wasn't,
barely-
that wasn't me.
yeah.
I actually like him in the movie. So
He's
okay,
okay.
so it definitely wasn't you.
yeah, it wasn't me.
If I may, two more. Let Him Go is a thriller that's just starting to make the rounds. Kevin Costner, Diane Lane, Leslie Manville. Fucking awesome thriller. Harkens back to old lean 90s pictures, like some early Carl Franklin stuff. I loved it. I thought it was fucking like hard boiled. It reminds me of like Taylor Sheridan's movies, Hell or High Water and Wind River.
Officer and a Gentleman?
No, not that one, Mike. But I think you guys would really like this film. And after that, I just saw Time earlier today, the documentary, Travis.
Yeah, I watched that as well. What'd you think?
I love the photography, the music, the overall.
He's grasping at straws when he goes right to the photography and the music.
It's
It's
just
a tough one
VHS
to
in
talk
black
about.
and white for most of it. So I don't know what you're
No,
talking about.
Well, the stuff in present day is
You're
shot
right, no,
gorgeously.
I'm kidding. There is
But
some really beautiful shots.
you're right. This is a kind of a tricky one to talk about because overall, I like the indomitable nature of humanity being free and out in the world. But I got some problems with this story.
Look, I mean, it's the reason I didn't bring it up is because it's an Academy Award nominated movie that deals with a subject that I agree with the premise. Like, I agree with what the premise of the film is saying. Like, there's a very clear thesis statement being made here, and I agree with it. I don't like the way it was delivered. I don't like the way I found a lot of it pretty grating. Honestly, like it just, and by the time the end of the movie came, it felt very anticlimactic, and it was, and I was just kind of glad that it was done.
Okay, all right, yeah.
There it is. Okay.
That's
great.
yeah. I mean, again, like don't shoot me. I totally appreciate what they're saying. No, I know we got to stop like making those jokes. Honestly, like that we can't like that we're always going to be canceled if we say anything controversial because obviously like that is just silly. Like but
we're human beings,
right? And everyone's allowed to have their opinions, and I'm allowed to not like this movie. But I admit it does make me like as a white dude, like part of me feels like I should be like, well, fuck. I hope no one thinks I'm not like don't unpunch my liberal card. But I just felt like throughout the movie, I'm just like, fuck, lady, like. I mean, how long do you think he should have been in jail for holding up people with a gun like that?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I mean, like 60 years is too long. I agree. But like, do you think he should have been let go the next day? Because I don't.
No remorse. Zero remorse.
You guys want to replace Closer and do this movie today?
Sorry,
Mike. I mean, you talk about. I'm not afraid to. I joke when I say get canceled, but I think it is important for us to be honest about some of these movies because there's great messages out there. Like a movie like I tried to watch the the Billie Holiday film, I was fucking bored. I turned it off, and it's probably an important movie to watch because of this character.
A lot of people said
the
this.
movie was boring.
No, I said the same thing on the show before. Just, I mean, the story is important. Like, it's like what happened to her is an important story. It's mismanaged. I think
they went in a different direction, right?
I think Lee Daniels is not a very good director. I think that the performance was great, but I don't.
Lee Daniels.
I don't think the movie was good.
Lee Daniels.
Oh, is that he's a butler? See, I thought he was a director.
Oh, well, he might have been a butler too. I don't know. So. At any rate, look. I hope, Eric, that you're always being honest, because I feel like me and Travis are usually being honest most of the time in the show. So don't be afraid to be honest and share yourself with us, because that's what we pride ourselves on here. If there's any pride at all, it's on being straightforward and truthful, and we'll give it to you straight. Because if we're not going to be truthful about our movie opinions, then what the fuck are we really doing here?
It's pointless.
Well, that was, man, jam-packed. That's a lot of movie watching. Well done, sir. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. For me, I watched some films. I got to tell you about this movie I watched. Have you guys ever seen Three Fugitives with Nick Nolte and Martin Short?
Yeah, hell yeah. In theaters.
It's so dumb.
In theaters.
So dumb. I've never seen it before, and I finally got around to watching it. It's the stupidest shit you'll ever see.
Oh, that's what we got. This is the stupid movie you wanted to tell us about?
Yes. This is like,
I had a copy of it. I used to watch it a bunch growing up.
Oh, wow. Yeah. See, this one never got into my realm growing up, so I had no reference of it. But I love Nick Nolte and Martin Short and James Earl Jones, Alan Ruck. I mean, there's a lot. But it's just so 80s stupid. This seems like it was trying to take it. I'd have to check the date, because I think it came out the same year as 3 Men and a Baby. I want to know if it came out like long after that or not, because it seems like they're trying to recapture some of that. But if they came out the same year, because I believe it was 87, and I believe 3 Men and a Baby was 87, and I just felt like they were trying to take that same kind of formula. There's a little girl, and then there's these two guys. There's not three guys. There's only two guys. It's just a bozo fest to the max, but it was somewhat entertaining, I will say. And Nick Nolte's classic Nick Nolte in this, just pissed as fuck. He's yelling at this little girl. Like, I imagine him doing this movie, acting it out, like going home and I'm like, God, I can't keep doing this. I'm so cruel to this little girl, but that's what I'm supposed to do. He's like, go away. You know, he's just like so intense. Nick Nolte.
Maybe they would like remove the little girl and he would like yell like at a stuffed animal or something, like a tennis ball. You know what I mean?
Thank God for green screens now. Yeah.
Because hopefully she wasn't just sitting there as like a stand-in, like she just has to sit here and take this abuse off camera.
Oh my God!
7-year-old getting screamed at by Nick Nolte. You're a cocksucker. We're going to jail.
Yeah. Oh my God! It's such a dumb movie, though. It's just hijinks to the max. It's classic 80s hijinks, 80s soundtrack, stupid hijinks, like right place, right time, weird coincidence. You know, it's just stupid. I don't know why I'm taking it so seriously, but it was quite dumb for a first viewing, and I absorbed it as so. So I don't want to ruin
the boat on that one. It may be too late, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe too dated in a film.
I did watch the whole thing, though. I didn't turn it off or anything. So.
Francis Weber, he's a French filmmaker, and it does have like this just silly ass like European flair going on with it. It does kind of like a French film.
Did you fast forward through any movies?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I mean, if I got to get in everything I got to get in my life, I'm going to have to do some fast forwarding. Aha, look at this. So, yes, Three Fugitives came out in 1989, 2 years after 3 Men and a Baby. I definitely feel like now they were trying to do that. They were trying to feed off that. So
fix is in.
It is. It's good to verify that. Okay, so yeah, I watched Three Fugitives. I told you I was really in some serious shit before I switched gears to Three Fugitives. That was the end of this week. I started the week off by watching Blue Valentine because I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it since I first watched it, and I remember on first watch, I wasn't like. I thought I would love it. I remember me and Eric, we talked about this movie when it came out, and I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see this. I was like really into these like intense, painful relationship movies. I've always been to them. I don't know why, but second watch, much better. I have much more appreciate. And since I've seen The Place Beyond the Pines and more of Derek Cianfrance's work, I appreciate it more. It's a good ass film. It's rock solid. Michelle Williams, Ryan Gosling.
She's unreal in it. She's so good.
Sublime.
Yeah, they're both fantastic.
They're both really good.
Gosling doing the whole Jude Law thing that he did in Road to Perdition, where he shaves his head a little bit so it looks like he's balding, but he's a sexy man in real life. Which, by the way, I ended up watching Road to Perdition because it made me think of the balding Jude Law. I'm like, I gotta watch Road to Perdition. Shit. I haven't watched that in a while.
Jude Law plucked his hairs one by one for that role. I shit you.
There you go. Yeah, see,
He didn't shave it.
he really went for it on that.
Yeah.
And Road to Perdition is a movie that I also didn't love as much as some of you guys did. I feel like I don't want to speak for everybody here, but Eric, definitely you were a huge fan of this film when it came out.
I love it. It's
That's what
unreal.
remember.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know if Travis felt the same way when it came out. Or
Masterpiece.
Not, okay,
Yeah,
well,
there it
you go.
is.
I mean, Paul Newman. It's a great way to kind of call it a career. There, it's a great.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
it his
Cars
final?
2. Oof.
It's his final performance, right?
Dude.
No, Cars 2 or Cars 1 was
Yeah.
the vocal
Okay, but
performance.
like
Was the last thing he
live
did. But that was the
action?
last. It was the last. Yeah, it was the last filmed thing.
So good.
Yeah.
Everyone in this room is a murderer.
Yes.
Oh my
and
God.
That was good.
I guess this gets to my point this week. I watched a couple movies, obviously, that focus around like kids at the center of this chaos. Both Three Fugitives and Road to Perdition have something in common. Believe it or not, they do. Because there's
true.
this little kid, it's a rated R movie, both of them,
Yeah.
and there's like this adult hijinks going on while
Yeah.
like hardcore shit's happening. And meanwhile, here's this kid in the middle of it trying to make sense of it all. And I feel like movies where the kids get involved, if it's not like placated to too much, I'm down with it. But sometimes Road to Perdition, I would just kill for more of what's going on with Finn McGovern and that stuff. There's other stuff in that movie I'd rather see than focus on the kid part, I guess, is my point. But
Sure.
doesn't make it a bad movie or anything. It's still well done. And yeah, and then I finally saw a movie that you guys have both seen that you highly recommended, Brawl in Cell 99.
Oh
Wow,
shit.
Cell Block
Okay.
99. I finally saw. You both like this film.
All right. Yeah,
You've talked about
this
it
is
on the
true.
show.
We've talked about it on
Somebody
the show.
mentioned it. Yeah.
We both liked it.
It was
Yes,
fantastic.
Michael.
It was
Yeah.
such a crazy ass
Fucking
movie. So, I mean, you guys talked about it. You never really gave away everything about it. So,
We try not to most of the time.
yeah, you did a really good job with that because I was like,
Except for that time
Man.
documentary.
I had no idea. Yeah, at the time. Yeah, well, that's a different story. But, God,
So
Vince
unique.
Vaughn. Yeah, really. He's like a superhero, is he? I'm getting the feeling like he's not even human. It's so wild. Like he's just this unique man. He could
He's
take
like this
so
big.
much pain.
He's just
Yeah.
he's just a pair of fists.
Yeah,
Go
but
through
the way-
anything.
that's actually what he looks like. It's kind of unbelievable, but the power behind who's to say what the power is behind those punches? All I know is this movie it goes in a direction I did not see it going. Like it seems like, sometimes you make mistakes and you got to pay for them. It's way beyond that. There's a lot going on in this movie besides violence. I will say that.
It's an exciting filmmaker. What's his name again, Eric?
Craig
Oh,
Zoller. Craig
Craig
Zoller
Zoller,
is
yeah.
fucking amazing.
Everything he's done so
I
far.
love
I've got-
all of his movies.
well, I haven't seen Drive Across Concrete still.
I
Which is
love
high.
it.
I'm gonna write a little note to myself.
You will
right
love
now.
it. You will love it. Strap in though, because this guy takes his fucking time. It's like watching paint dry, but it's worth it.
He does. Yeah, it's very deliberate. And I had no problem with that though. In a sense,
No.
I kind of saw a little bit of seeing France's work in it a bit too. Maybe a little bit of Malik in
Yeah.
there.
A little bit of
there's-
Paul Schrader, his early stuff,
Sure,
like hardcore, and fuck
That's a
yeah.
good point too. Okay, yeah. So I would really strongly recommend that movie. If you've never seen it, or if you've never been on the show, it's some reason you're seeing or hearing the show for the first time, you've never heard about Brawl in Cell Block 99. Go seek that one out. I wish I'd seen it sooner, guys. I did. I really did. And that'll pretty much do it. That's my
Okay.
big recommendation for the week. And thank you very much for listening and taking your time. I care about movies. I love watching movies. It's important to me. We have movies here to bring us together and to unite us. And I'm actually vamping here because I just want to make sure I covered everything. Yeah.
man.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I forgot. One more. Sorry. I saw The Way Back. Did you guys see The Way Back with Ben Affleck?
Oh, what are you talking about, dude? I dubbed it my favorite film of last year.
You remember when I was saying it before the show started? That I felt like sometimes you weren't
I'm
paying
fucking
attention.
Asshole.
kidding.
Fast forward through the show.
I'm fucking. I knew you would go
kidding,
ape shit.
just kidding.
You're supposed to laugh. Come on. God, it was.
I'm a friend, man.
I should have seen it sooner. And I after your
love The Way
recommendation,
Back.
I really tried to find it. And man, what a
Just a great movie.
yeah. I definitely got emotional. It was. I'm sure some of my own stuff in it too, but like it's really emotive and it's not cheesy. I feel like it could be. It has some material where it could be really cheesy.
Oh,
And,
God, yeah.
but it doesn't. It doesn't really go there. So I was a big fan of it. I'm glad. I wish I'd seen
Loved
it
it.
sooner. I really do think he was worth. He should have been maybe nominated. I really do.
Absolutely. He was
Yeah.
fucking fantastic in it.
I would have been okay with that for sure.
Yeah. And what's that girl? What's his sister? The one who plays his sister in that movie? What's her name? You know what I'm talking about? I don't know
Yeah, I
her
don't
name,
know.
but her face I've seen in movies, and she's pretty good. She has this face that just comes off like God. She looks like she's never having a good time, but she's a good actress, and I want to give her props for that. So
Okay.
his face. You know, it's like, oh man.
Face.
Is there
Oh,
a nose on
Michaela
it?
Watkins. Michaela Watkins is her name. So
No bells.
yeah, you would.
I mean, I
know
saw
her
the movie, but I
for-
saw it when it was new. I mean, I can't remember.
Yeah. Did you ever see the backup plan or
Missed it.
Wanderlust or Thanks
Yeah, I
for
saw that.
Sharing? She was in some of those movies.
I
so.
think I saw that.
Yeah. Anyways, there it is. The Way Back. I can't believe I almost forgot it because that was today that I watched it and it made me quite emotional. So thank you for letting me share that. Really well done. I'm glad that I still wonder like how because he has alcohol issues of his own. I wonder how much of this was like so personal for him as well.
I mean, the background story behind it is that Jennifer Garner, after their divorce, she convinced him to do it. She like begged him to do it after he did Batman vs Superman, which he fucking hated and was miserable for, and that was like the nadir of his life in terms of his
Mine too.
alcoholism.
Yeah.
What's that?
Mine too.
Oh,
So he's like at bottom, he's like at the top of the world, it looks like, but like in real life, he's at bottom, and she convinces him like, this is the fucking script for you. Like, you need to do this. This will be good for you. So yeah, I would say he put a lot of himself into it, and it would have been really nice if the Academy had, not just, I mean, like, who are we kidding? Like, it's not just the roles, or it's not just the performances. There's always something else behind it too. Some sort of politicking, and like giving him some sort of nod of being like, hey, we see you. That would have been,
yeah. I mean, it's how I'm. Brave people are those that run into burning buildings and save children. So I hesitate to say brave about any performance or actor, but good on him for taking that role on and coming out with his struggles in a very public way and in an artful way as well.
yeah. I'll have to read more about his comments on this film because I'm sure he's been asked these questions. The parallels are obvious. So good on him for doing that. Good on Jennifer Garner. It's important to have people that support you in your life. Good call. That was good background info, Travis. Thank you so very, very much. The Way Back. Go check it out and have yourself a good time. And I wanted to throw in, I also remember when Amy Schumer was a thing. You guys remember that?
I still like her. I liked Trainwreck.
Right.
I've watched it more than
But-
once.
It's not that I don't like her, but to say she was a thing would be like she was on top of the world and now
I mean, she's
not.
still a thing. I watched a movie that she starred in last year. I can't think of what it's called, but she like hits her head and suddenly thinks that she's beautiful. I can't think of the name of the fucking movie. But
I feel pretty.
Yeah, I feel pretty. Thank you. Yeah, and that was what, 2019, 2020.
Oh.
So she's still doing stuff, and that was a decent film.
Yeah, I'm sure she's alive and breathing and like living
She
life.
breathes.
I have no
She's
debate about that.
Starting a family, taking some time off.
Is that true? I didn't know that either. Anyway, she was huge though, and like when she did Trainwreck and stuff, she was big. She was huge. She was like the new thing. So maybe that's what it was. And
A lot of
I went back-
backlash whenever there's someone big, like that.
Also been accused of joke stealing. It has to be mentioned because that's been verified by legit sources. So I'm not just throwing out gossip on that. Anyways, disappointing. But I watched Trainwreck. I had seen it once. I went back and watched it. Her and Bill Hader. It's okay. It's funny. It's not Apatow's best, but she's actually good in it. I got no beef with her. So
It's a nice
There it
role
is.
for her. It makes sense.
yeah, it's a nice little Saturday for her.
Nice little.
Christopher Deary wants to know: does this mean you guys are closer to doing a sports movie, and does it hold up? Wow. Well.
Closer? Oh, you mean like the movie we're going to talk about?
Hey.
And so it is.
And yeah, just like 24 hours straight of me walking around my house, just and so it is. That's it, just the one line. God damn it!
Oh,
And
God,
then
I
the
was
movie starts, and like it's immediate. Like the Columbia, like as the screen brightens, before you can fully even see the Columbia lady. And so it is.
E-L-O.
Yeah, they don't even give you a reprieve. They don't give you like a soft opening or a cold open where they just start talking. It's like, nope, here we go. We're shoving this right down your throat.
Immediate
And then it's stuck
Damien
in your head
Rice.
forever. And Davian Rice will always be a part of our lives. So yeah, Deary, maybe we will do a sports movie. The Way Back is, I wouldn't
So
call it a
fucking
sports
good.
movie, but I guess it is.
I mean, something like that would be what we would do. I mean, like, I wouldn't mind taking a look at something like Any Given Sunday or
Oh.
Jerry Maguire? Come on.
Yeah, sure, Jerry Maguire. But we've done enough fucking Cameron Crowe for a while.
Yeah. I'd Paramount He. Does anyone know what this reference is? Anybody? Is this a joke?
I don't know what it
I
means.
thought it was an
Joke?
inside joke. Oh, I'd Paramount Her. That's by Steve
Oh.
Wiskowski. So.
Stay out of this one.
Oh, is that a bad joke? Yeah, that's Steve. Thank you so much for chiming in on that. That's I think he's referring to
the Columbia lady. I think he's saying that he would paramount the Columbia lady.
The Columbia Pictures lady? Wow.
That's what he's saying.
Oh, wow.
Sexy lady.
That's awesome. Well, yes,
Nice
this is
John Gast had her first.
This is the Cinema Night Podcast, of course. CinemaNightPod at ProtonMail.com. You can send us an email. We realized last week we had not been checking our emails, so we are now checking our emails again. And thanks to Chad for enlightening us on the fact that we had not been doing so. Chad sent us an email last week, and we welcome your feedback, commentary, which is also available on our Twitter page, our Facebook page, of course, the Instagram page. The guys are still doing great work on all of those platforms. So if you want to engage with us and talk film, we're available all week long, are we not?
Yeah, anything. I mean, send us an email. Who's hotter, the Starbucks mermaid or the Columbia Pictures lady?
And so it is.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
Time.
It is that time, gentlemen. It is time to get into it. Does it hold up? Yes. Can you feel the tenderness, the passion?
Life goes.
So I mean, this movie, this song, brings us into an opening sequence that I think is quite memorable. I do wish that we knew that. I thought you would just let it play. Oh, you are.
I think it is still playing.
Okay. Anyway, so I kind of wish that we knew that they didn't know each other, but I think that scene does a great job of like demonstrating. I mean, I'm not generally a love at first sight kind of guy, but like. We've all probably had those moments where like there's just like this unreal connection, and like whether you go and have a 4-year relationship with that person and then smack her and it ends, or if you never see that person again, like there's just like this weird, like a car wreck, like explosion, and I thought it did a great job of representing that.
I definitely agree, and it's definitely one of the more. In a movie that doesn't have a lot of sweet moments. It's a genuinely romantic and sweet first 10-15 minutes, in my opinion. And as much as I like that scene, it introduces you to this romantic relationship between Dan and Alice. But sadly, that's not something we get from, Larry and the Julia Roberts character. So while I have this connection with them and their relationship, that's really the only one I feel connected to. And it's probably because of this really sweet scene in the opening.
Great point. And the movie probably wouldn't feel like a tragedy otherwise, right? If we were a little bit more invested in Larry, it wouldn't matter that he wins their little war, right? I mean, you'd be okay with it, but instead the movie ends and like you feel defeated and sad, and like you never really rooted for Dan in the first place because he's a scumbag and deceptive, but at the same time, like
his eyes though.
And he's the protagonist, and you identify with the protagonist. Out of the 4 of them, like he's the one they follow the most, right? On it. Well, either him or Alice. I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah, I'd say, Alice, yeah, probably. But that doesn't matter. What does matter? Yes, this is how the scene. This is how the movie starts, and it's just music, and it's just slow-mo walking. Not full slow-mo, but like half slow-mo, and there's an accident, and it all starts where they go to the hospital together. So this is Closer, not to be confused with the TV show The Closer, which came out in 2005 starring Keira Sedgwick. I want to make that clear.
And I love that, like, had she not been so, like, wrapped up in his eyes and in that moment, like, from across the street, they're a good distance apart. She would have like noticed what was going on and not stepped off the curb.
That's so dumb. It just got so literal all of a sudden in this fantasy film. And this is it's a play, right? It was a play originally, so It's very much a play because it's just these 4 people that are in it. I mean, who else has dialogue in this movie besides the 4 people? Can you think of anybody? I
don't
can't.
know that anyone else utters a single line, not even so much as like a bartender.
That's interesting.
Exactly. Oh, there's Taxi Driver, played by Nick Hobbs. He does say, because when he calls the taxi after she leaves the gallery,
make up your fucking mind.
I mean, what a scumbag. So Jude Law is like, he wants to go back and talk to Julia Roberts' character. He's such a scumbag that he sees his girlfriend out to the taxi, who he's not taking with him on this trip, by the way, and then acts like he's going to get the next taxi, stands there while she drives away, and then, I mean, you talk about deception, Travis, you're right. There is masterful deception going on here.
And like both he and Anna are deceptive, like right off the bat, right? Because like she's able to be like, your shirt, like she like lets him know that the back of his shirt is like untucked, right? Because they're the cheaters. Really, like Larry is not. I mean, he cheats on her with a prostitute, but probably because she's been cheating on him for a year, and there's probably something very wrong in that relationship, and he's clearly a very sexual man, and he tells her fucking like immediately, which is like weirdly respectable. So and then Alice, of course, you get the sense that like stripper, whatever, she would never fucking ever be non-monogamous to him in a way that he was not okay with, right? Like she would never cheat on him.
Okay, that's true. Wait, so let's reorganize this. We got to do our thing how we do it. So let's go back in time.
You played Damien Rice, and we said, all right, and so it is. We're talking about this.
Sucked us right in, man. We're hypnotized.
It's a Motive song. I was in a band.
On,
that song, when this movie came out, I was in a band, and this guy that was in the band with Josh was obsessed with Damien Rice. He just had, God, he was so into Damien Rice. And I was like, who's Damien Rice? At the time, I really didn't know who he was. But now we all know The Blower's Daughter by Damien Rice. So take us back in time then, Travis, 2004. Did you see this in the theater? I likely feel like this is a DVD viewing for you.
This was a DVD viewing, but it was like a, brand new, as soon as it was out on DVD, I saw it like, because it was one that I saw the previews for, but I don't even think it was like, I don't remember exactly where I was living in 2004. So I guess I probably could have. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure I could have hunted it down and seen it wherever it was playing. But I was aware of
it. The Glasses Factory.
In 2004, I would have been working at AB Heller. I was making machine parts, actually.
Oh, I thought you guys made eyeglasses there. Is that another job?
I could be wrong. Who fucking knows? Why are you keeping such close track of my life? Let me be wrong.
I remember that job, and I popped in my head that
Who
period
cares?
of time.
Who cares what the fuck I was doing? It was something involved pressing a button and standing. Anyways, so I watched the movie. And loved it. I bought Damien Rice's CD. I did that shortly after watching the movie, and I bought the second CD too.
Wow.
And I watched the movie more than once. It was one it was on a pretty regular rotation for a while. Almost completely had forgotten about it. I think it was a really good choice for this podcast. It was one that like I wouldn't have thought of to choose myself, but like it bears. I mean, like I was just like a flurry of notes. Very rarely do I have to like pause the movie and be like, wait a minute, like there's just too much happening here. I gotta slow down. So yeah, there's a lot going on here, and I think it was a good one for the podcast.
What about you, Mr. Branchup? 2004. Check this out in the theater on a Saturday night.
No, I picked up the DVD. It was a weird play for me. I technically enjoyed it. I think it's one of those that I enjoy just because I was enamored by the acting in it. But like I think audiences at the time, I wasn't really prepared for how like mature the film was. You know what I mean? It's not very accessible because it's just so in your face. In 2004, you've got like Along Came Polly and 13 Going on 30, two films I enjoy. So I'm going into this like, but it's so fucking such an adult movie that I was kind of not prepared for that. So yeah, I haven't really thought about it that much since, but I remember being pretty impressed.
It's practically an adult film.
Yeah, you're such a fascinating human being, Eric. We talked last week how this movie came out at the same time as like Eternal Sunshine and Garden State. These are also kind of like depresso, R-rated adult films, I would say. But yeah, it's not a porno or anything. Yes, that's
no,
true.
this is not pornography.
But they do say "cum" in this movie several times, and they're not joking.
They talk about the taste of it at one point. I mean, like Julia Roberts, America's sweetheart, Julia Roberts talking about the taste of semen in a very frank manner.
Like deadpan. That's very frank and deadpan.
Very deadpan. Very jarring, especially that. Like even still, like last night watching it, I'm like, I'm never gonna get used to Julia Roberts talking very openly and kind of angrily just about sex in general. Just talking about having someone go down on her, about being on top. Like that whole scene is like so jarring. It's like. I mean, it's like she's like Shirley Temple, man. Like she's, you know what I mean? Like to me, like, I don't know. Like she's just so like not someone like, which is why it was such an interesting choice for both for her to take the role and for Nichols to, ask for her to do it.
It's like running into your old kindergarten teacher in the adult section of the video store accidentally.
Exactly.
Which would have happened at Blockbuster 15 years ago.
Never. Family store.
No porno.
Come on.
That was ridiculous. But I will tell you that yes, she made her hay as a hooker in.
That's true.
Pretty Woman. But that's like the most like tame, like sweet. It's not a sexual movie, really, in my opinion.
Really not.
Yeah, it shouldn't even be rated R. It should be more of a PG-13. But yes, I see your point completely. For me, I honestly couldn't pinpoint the moment I saw this film for the first time. It really bothered me because I really remember it having a big impact on me. I was like, oh shit, this is hardcore, and I like to get depressed too. So I've been in relationships a few times, not a lot at this point when this movie came out. I was more of a fool, kind of staying solo and thinking I knew a lot more than society, which in truth I didn't know at all. I was a complete moron, but it was still a really well done movie. I love the actors in it, and I really enjoyed it. And I started watching it on the reg, but I just can't pinpoint exactly when it was. And sometimes that happens. So I'll be honest about that. Definitely didn't see it in the theater, obviously, but I certainly saw it on DVD. As far as the movie rating on IMDb.com, I haven't looked it up, so I'm going to join in on this. I'm going to say this movie is well done. It's got a reputable director. It's got a lot of people we know about, so it's got to be at least a 7.0 or higher.
I saw it, so I can let you know.
Yeah,
so you guys 7.0. You saw it too?
I saw it, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm gonna say it's probably a 7.2 or 7.1.
Then you saw it too.
You
didn't
nailed it.
You saw it too.
You nailed it.
No, I didn't. I
Oh, it's
didn't
7.2.
see
Yeah,
it.
you're good. That's what it is. 7.2.
Yeah, hey, it can't be a 6, even if you don't like it, because it's just got too many names, in my opinion. It's one of those where even if you don't think it's that great of a movie, it's just going to gain a little more weight. But
Caliber
that's
of
been wrong.
actors, demands it.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly. I mean, whether you disagree with the film as a solid piece of entertainment or not, that is a different story, and I don't want to reveal too much yet, but we're going to get to that point where we'll reveal how we feel about it. Now, Rotten Tomatoes, 68% of critics. 68. That's not a great score, but it's not god-awful. But again, the audience, 81%, really enjoyed this movie. There's a lot of people who saw something in this film that they related to or they just rather enjoyed. It's not a comedy at all. So it's not like a laugh riot.
That's surprising. Once again, it seems like the critics would have loved this and the audiences would have detested it, but we're backwards again. I mean, that's not the first time by far that's happened.
Yeah, that's interesting. A lot of reviews on this, 11 pages of reviews. Peter Travis from Rolling Stone says, vibrates with eroticism, bruising laughs, and dynamite performances from 4 attractive actors doing decidedly unattractive things.
What if they said like from 3 attractive actors and Clive Owen?
Oh, yikes.
That's funny. That was funny. Whatever happened to Clive Owen? We'll talk about that more shortly. But Clive was a man. This was like
Gemini Man.
this is when Clive was becoming the man.
He
Children of
decided
Men.
that shoot him up was like the career high for him, and he was going to just follow that route. Like surely that's
Clive.
I remember going out of my way to avoid that movie, and I loved at the time Clive Owen and Paul Giamatti. And I was like, why?
Turned it off. Couldn't finish it.
Terry Lawson of the Detroit Free Press says, if it makes you uncomfortable or leaves you disturbed, it has only done its job.
Oh, I like that.
Is that the job of this movie, to make us uncomfortable?
I mean, go ahead.
No, please.
Well, I mean, it's not a movie designed to like, titillate or like, right? It's not a movie designed to just be like a frivolous romp for a Saturday afternoon, right? And this is art. This is from a play. This is something designed to make you think about life, etc.
Yeah, and I mean, the very little that I've read, I mean, when this play came out, it was that vile type of vulgarity that ended up getting a lot of people into seats. So there was some big questions about whether or not that would transfer to the film itself. And I think it earned, it delivers exactly what its precedent is, and that's to be, like I said before, kind of an adult drama about relationships that was not anywhere in 2004.
Look, this movie, there is one movie very much that this reminded me of that's a predecessor to it. Any guesses? We've talked about it on the show at length.
Oh, man.
Your Friends and Neighbors.
Oh.
This made me think very much of Your Friends and Neighbors. A group of, an ensemble cast, a play converted to a movie. An ensemble cast is very small, and just like interwoven lives dealing with sex in a very very frank way. Almost a comedy in some places, but pretty much really not. I know you guys call that a black comedy, but to me it's more of a drama with some comedic elements. But I kept thinking about that movie throughout last night while watching this.
Great call. You're right.
It's a perfect call. Yeah, I chose both those movies. I don't know what that says about me, but
it says something. It
Oh,
definitely
I bet it
says
does.
something.
I'm sure you guys have plenty to say on that. But Roger Ebert said, there's a creepy fascination in the way these four characters stage their affairs while occupying impeccable lifestyles. Like, these people aren't like down. I mean, in terms of professional lives, they all seem to be leading or doing quite well in their individual professions as well. So that's an interesting point.
Is that true? I mean, I love the moment when Anna
Well-
asks Alice, if waiting tables is temporary, and she's like, no. I love that moment.
Yeah.
You're right. You're totally right. That's the one character. The three of them,
Mhm.
I mean, he writes the book and it seems to do well, or maybe it doesn't do well.
It does poorly. That's part of the plot. He's an obit writer. He gets hired. He gets promoted to editor of the obit office when
Yes.
his boss dies. But like he's going nowhere. I mean, but he makes a living. Yeah, he makes a living.
Yeah, maybe that's wrong. Yeah.
Clive Owen's doing the best.
I
Clearly.
just take that back now. Yeah. I totally
He's a
disagree with
doctor.
that stupid comment they made by the now rest in power, of course, Roger Ebert. I was looking for Destin. I was trying to see if I could find him.
Oh, I
And
miss
here
him so
it
much.
is.
All right.
We are back in
shit.
business.
And
On
here he
December-
is.
Yes.
That's the joke that keeps on giving. Destin Thompson on December 2nd, 2004 said this. Sure, there's a rubbernecky attraction to watching these good-looking, half-baked creations living anguished, photogenic lifestyles. But it's unclear if we're supposed to feel engaged. That's it.
Destin kind of let me down there, buddy. I mean, just only not because I agree or disagree, but just because like I don't quite get what he's going for. I mean, like, what film doesn't want you to feel engaged in it? What movie wants you to feel disengaged from it? I
That's
want the
literally what
viewer to
they're
feel
doing.
like they're outside of this and just not emotionally invested whatsoever. That's not a thing
Yeah.
anyone does.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I mean, these are four clearly beautiful people. So is the story different if these are just regular, folks in London doing their thing?
I disagree. I mean, yeah, I would say that Julia Roberts is a gorgeous, she's a movie star, beautiful person. I think that Natalie Portman, clearly beautiful, but like I would believe it if she came to serve me coffee somewhere. Like I've seen women as beautiful as her walking around in my life.
I
And
just don't see the distinction there. But I'm not going to argue about it. But
I'm not saying there's anything like. I'm just saying like she's a believable, like a normal, like she doesn't look like a Hollywood classic. Like no one looks anything remotely like her. I've seen a bunch of women that look a lot like her.
See, to me, I see it opposite. That's why I find
And,
that
and maybe
fascinating.
that's true too. I mean, maybe that's part of the appeal for both of them is that they, to some people they're going to look gorgeous, and the same can be said for Jude Law and Clive Owen with their uniqueness. But really, there's not
Clive?
that out of the four of them. They're all beautiful people, but like there's beautiful people in the world, and Jude Law. I mean, like honestly. He looks like our friend Matt Freeling. Let's get down to it. I mean, he looks like a guy that we know. Like he's a very believable looking dude to me.
Yeah,
So,
I don't see him as like a sex symbol at all.
Right.
I never did. I think he's a solid actor, but I don't
So
know.
yeah, okay. My whole point just being like, okay, getting hung up on their beauty is like whatever. Like beautiful people tend to date beautiful people, and there's beautiful people in the world. Like big fucking deal.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest problem with this film is once again we've got beautiful people falling in love with each other just because they're beautiful. We don't really get much of anything in terms of the attraction between Larry and Anna, aside from a physical aspect. It's all just skipped over with this wonky narrative where all of a sudden it's like 2 years later and then the year after that and the year after that. I needed more to see why these people are in love. I get it with Dan and Alice, even if it's just, beauty and glances, but I don't get it with these other two. So I'm just like, what the fuck, who cares?
Oh, Alice. Okay, so let's establish this, at least in my opinion. Alice very much believes in love, and she gives everything to Dan quite quickly because she's in love with him. Even when they're on the bus after the hospital scene, when she like cleans his eyeglasses for him, it's a very intimate thing to do, to take his glasses off his face. But that's
Right.
the first day still. So that shows you she's instantly like the kind of person she is. She's gonna love, and that
So-
much I think.
So
is clear.
juxtapose that with the first time that Larry and Anna meet. You walk up to her and ask her if she's like a cum dumpster or something, and then they go on a date
Well-
to the fucking A
This will
beautiful
always be the
boardwalk.
episode where Eric said "cum dumpster."
I'm sorry, I apologize, but it's just for the sake
No,
of
that's what-
the dialogue.
That's what
but, like,
happens. Yes. Dan and Larry have an exchange on the internet where Larry thinks that Dan's a woman.
We got to
And-
talk about this scene. We got to talk
Let's
about
do
the
it.
Oh,
jaunty
shit.
fucking 90s comedy, like cartoony music going on in the
Yes.
background. For the,
Totally out of character for the rest of the movie.
it's
Yes.
a complete, the whole scene is so out of nowhere. And like, it doesn't feel like, I have a hard time imagining this is in the play, right? Because we're looking at a
Oh, yeah.
screen.
Yeah, they
like,
projected it, and in the play they projected it in like
For
the
real?
back, so the audience could just read the transcript of it.
Oh,
Probably
shit.
fun.
Huh.
Yeah.
that's cool.
Wow.
That is cool. That's funny.
Well, how about that?
Some of the worst cyber sex I've ever seen.
Very
Go on.
sexy. I mean,
Just go
yeah.
on. It just keeps on typing
Oh.
go on. That's not cyber sex.
Yeah. Well, he did do
Yeah.
the thing where you press all the keys to act like you're having an orgasm. So that he sold that well.
He
I'll give
did.
him that.
He
So.
did.
But yes, you're right. The scene is totally out of character or doesn't belong with the rest of the film. If it never had happened and these people had just met at the aquarium, because they don't explain everything.
Oh,
in this movie.
Jesus.
One of the things
Come
about this
on.
movie is like you jump around from time to time. You don't like when they meet, when Dan and Alice meet, and then they jump over to Dan having his photo taken. So a lot of time has elapsed because he was suddenly an obit writer struggling. Next thing you know, now he's got a book that he's trying to sell and do his author's photo. So time is kind of moved around and fast forwarded through without a lot of explanation. And I think that's one
It's
of the
so true.
interesting parts about that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I can dig how the director was relying on our intelligence to catch up with it, but give me seasons changing, maybe a different hairstyle, because I was a little lost personally.
I didn't have any trouble following it personally, just because like there's context clues. They make statements that make it pretty clear about time has passed. Sometimes they say how much time has passed, and that's fine. That all works. There's two scenes where I got a little muddy because because the whole movie's linear except for when Jude Law finds out that she slept with Clive Owen after they were together, and I think there's and then when Alice finds out that I don't know. There's like these two moments where people find things out, and you get these two scenes interspersed with one another, and it
Yeah.
kind of goes back and forth, and so you're actually flashing back a little bit. But for the most part, I didn't have any trouble following it myself.
Yeah, but my point being is about that is the aquarium scene never happened,
Oh, Jesus.
or what if they were just shown as like they met somewhere and this is how because they didn't have like some kindred connection. It was
Cupid was the connection. So I have a
Right.
theory. Oh,
Please.
okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
No,
So
please.
and I'm
Okay,
going to bring
great.
in the cyber sexting thing too. There's a very homoerotic like thread in this movie. There's a war going on, this weird war of egos between Larry and Dan, but also like there's this weird I want to make this person submit to me kind of thing coming from Larry, because Larry got a hard on from Dan and he's pissed about it, but he's also was aroused by Dan. So like I think that's a lot of what's happening with that. Does that kind of illustrate where
I hadn't considered that.
I
That's
am.
interesting.
I find that very interesting. I find it even more interesting that Larry is such an arrogant prick that after that horrific sex chat, he just assumes that the most beautiful woman in the aquarium is the one that he was engaging with.
he described her. He said blonde, big mouth.
He also
And he-
said her
and he
name.
says
That's her
Anna-
real name.
Right, and he
that's
says Anna.
That's a huge deal there because he
Ah.
does this. He knows she'll be there. He is. He doesn't know
Right.
that maybe she'll be there, but there's a chance she'll be there. Right?
And so that's
she
where
says she goes.
I missed that. I missed that.
And so the reason why I think that part of the reason that she ends up going with Larry, with Anna ends up with Larry, is like weirdly despite Dan, because
Yeah, I can see that.
because Dan, she's actually weirdly interested in Dan even a year later, even though he's been stalking her, because I don't know though, she's got some issues, but she's still, even after the fucking stunt that he pulls sending this internet stranger to her, she's still interested in him. but like part of her is like, oh, you want to send a man to me to date? Well, I'm gonna date that man, so I think that partly it's like a payback thing, like this weird thing.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought that up because Anna is the most underwritten character for me. I could see everyone's motivations throughout the entire film, aside from hers, really, aside from the fact that she's
But that's how she
gorgeous
is. Though.
and
I
yeah.
thought it was
Yeah,
created
yeah,
that
but-
way.
I had no problem
Okay.
with her. she's capricious, man. I've known some capricious people in my life.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
why.
for sure.
That's why I kind of just you really enlighten an honest and probably true point, Travis, with the homoeroticism
Yeah,
between
great
them and
point.
the resentment and bitterness. You
Yeah, that
described.
war has like this underlying thing that's going
Yeah,
on.
I'm down with that. I'm
Yeah.
totally in on that. But I actually think that Larry does a good job of describing what Anna is like when they have the fight where he's like, no, you don't want to be happy. You know, you think you have to be miserable. The depressed people. He has a really great line about depressed people have to be depressed or else they have nothing to be depressed about.
Dude,
and then they don't know what
movie
to
is
do.
It's chock full of great lines. Like the dialogue in this movie is unreal. You ruined my life, you'll get over it. Just like fucking constant. Like every other line in this movie is just.
There's a lot of quips in this movie. You're
it's
right.
just quippy as shit.
Yeah, the best lying is the most fun a girl will ever have without taking her clothes off. Things like that. Yeah.
It's just a lot of just really, really good lines. I mean,
I don't eat fish. I don't eat children either. Yeah, you're right. There are a lot of quips.
And just delivered in believable manners, like not delivered in like unbelievable ways. But one of the best parts is I think when and I think they're talking about the film itself and maybe just film or like plays and stuff itself is when Alice was looking at her picture and Larry comes up and they talk and she's talking about a bunch of sad strangers photographed beautifully. It's not a lie. It's not real. It's a big lie, but everybody lives a big lie or loves a big lie. Like some great lines, but like I think that's like again like so like people some of the reviewers that we read at the beginning of this like they felt like it kind of fell flat, but like maybe because like it is a big like it's a big lie and that's kind of the point, right? Like the whole. I mean, Alice isn't even Alice. She's Jane. Her real life to her, love for her is a big lie. That's the only way that she can have it. I don't know if any of that makes any sense. I don't know if I understand all of these threads that I'm kind of chucking out randomly here, but they're all intriguing.
Yeah, I can dig it. There's this weird symbol. Like, do you guys pick up on like this maritime symbolism? Like the obvious one is there's plenty of fish in the sea, but you've got Clive Owen, who's clearly like the shark, and they'll actually comment on like Alice comments and she says, "Oh, fish, they're just things that piss in the sea." Whereas I think it's Alice who like thinks of not Alice, but somebody else talks about literally they'll talk about fish being these beautiful creatures and stuff. And
yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier, where she says, "I don't eat fish, and I don't eat children either." Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah,
of that.
Exactly. It's interesting. And Patrick Marber, the screenwriter, I had to look him up. Former stand-up comic. Okay, been MIA since 2006. His Notes on a Scandal, as far as cinematic.
Oh, just watched that recently.
Yeah, with a script this good, it's like, give me more.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it that he is the guy who makes this movie happen, in my opinion, because the actors are all good, but like you said, Travis, the dialogue is special, and there's so many scenes to break down. We can't do all of them, but I think the honesty and the lack of leaps that are required to believe some of the things that happen in this movie, like when Alice comes in to get the photo done and they tell Dan to buzz off while Alice and Anna are going to do her photo, and she turns with a tear. She's crying because she knows he's already cheated on her. I thought the first time I saw it, it was unbelievable. I'm like, come on, you don't know that he's cheating. But I've watched it again this time, and I'm like, the way it's paced out and how the vibe of the scene is more believable. I think we don't always catch people in the act, but we do have our gut instincts and these feelings in the air. We emote this energy. We can feed off it and recognize things, especially her.
I also, what do you guys make of the cigarette theme that runs through this movie?
Yeah, absolutely. I picked up on that.
Started up again, and the way that it's praised, not just by Jude Law, but though mostly by Jude Law. I've given up. I've given up. Not I've given them up or I've given it up. I've given up. I've given up.
Yeah. Well, it's compulsion. It's a huge theme. Like compulsion and desire, the two biggest themes of the whole film.
There you go. So that's what's alluding to. Both these things that people don't want to be doing. That's a really great point, Eric. Yeah, it is. Smoking. You get addicted, and you have to eventually, because even if you don't want to quit, you try to quit. And it's alluded to, like I said, when he quits and then he comes back. And those are also ways for us to know time has gone forward because, hey, I'm smoking again or I'm not smoking anymore. Yeah. So those, like Travis said, those context clues help. But I did recognize now in 2021, because smoking has been so much removed from movies more and more, because isn't there like you'll get an even higher rating if there's just cigarettes being smoked in your movie. Apparently, I've heard these stories.
I don't think
Recently.
I know. I think that Netflix has some parental warnings they're more likely to put on, but I don't think that the MPAA is doing anything with that. I don't think, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't care. In the end, smoking is a
well, it's a thing.
It was really
like,
noticeable to me in this movie. I don't know why.
I've heard.
But it was.
I can't remember the actor. I think it might have been Ed Harris, but somebody was saying the biggest loss about no smoking in movies is for the actor because no one knows what to do with their hands anymore. I mean, a lot of the times they would request their character to smoke just so they could have something visually to do, so they're not just too still.
But
yeah,
yeah.
No, go ahead, please. Well, I watched Beautiful Girls, the other day. I forgot to mention it. And one of the things about that and Natalie Portman is after that film in particular, she would specifically take on these roles that were completely unsexualized in nature because she just felt like this object. So for her to come back, like maybe 8 years after that is interesting in and of itself. And
for her to do Leon and Beautiful Girls in like a 2-year period, I could see why she would feel that way. That's fucked up shit going on.
And I could see why she would come back for this role and in a way. I mean, come back to using her sexuality in a character, because the way that this character owns her sexuality, and like the men, they both just immediately feel like this sense of ownership to her, especially Clive Owen like touching her face and stuff.
Children.
But yeah, she is so self-possessed in this movie, and she's supposed the moronic beauty of youth and stuff, but she's actually the most together out of all of them in a very real way, even though she will just drop everything and leave because her possessions mean nothing to her. But she's the only one that really she's the only one when this movie ends, there's no question of how she feels. You're Dan, miserable as fuck. Larry, kind of that smug victory is only that feeling is only going to last so long. Anna, she's divorcing him again within 2 years probably, because she's not going to be happy with him,
or she won't, because she will be unhappy and then she'll just sneak around.
Yeah, I mean, who exactly, it's going to be a fucking mess anyway. But Jane, or whatever name she takes in the future,
long-haired Jane back in New York,
a new face in the crowd.
The movie starts and ends with a strut by Natalie in 2 different hairdos.
She's going to be okay wherever she's at.
I think it's interesting that she's probably almost certainly the youngest character in the story, and yet I have a lot of respect for her maturity. And she literally tells these men, granted she's no saint herself, but she says, hey, when it comes to this, skin deep infatuation and infidelity, she says, hey, you had a choice. You can give into it or you can walk away. And not a lot of the other characters even consider this for even the briefest moment.
How is she not a saint? What does she do that's unsaintly?
Well,
honestly, she's. I find her to be one of my few complaints in the movie that she's almost too good. She doesn't do anything wrong in this movie. She sleeps with Larry, sure, but why not? Why can't she sleep with Larry? She's single.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. There's so much sexual currency and sexual ammunition and manipulation.
Unless you're saying being a stripper is a negative thing. So
not at all. No. I am completely fine with that, for the record.
Sounded kind of anti-sex work, buddy. I don't know. We're not making jokes like that anymore. We're not making jokes.
It's just you can't help yourselves.
I know. We're fucking
I don't
three
know
white
if this
guys
is a silly premise or not, but I wanted to ask it. Is this movie, because it's about both, but is it more about love or sex, or is it not really matter? Because I was thinking
control.
about this.
It's about neither. I think it's about control primarily.
I agree completely.
They both can. You can control someone to love you and to make love to you. So yeah, that's the line between those is completely blurred.
I think you hit the nail on the head, my friend. I mean, the movie is about how people confuse love and control, right? I mean, when Clive Owen has Alice in the champagne room, and it's like, what do I have to do to get a little fucking intimacy? Well, dude, you're in a strip club. I don't know how much intimacy you expect in here, but that is what he, that's what he wants. And
but then he starts crying in that same scene, though. He's kind of at a breaking point as well.
It's what's she call it? A career. hazard, job hazard or something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like it
that's
happens
right.
so
Occupational
often.
hazard. Yeah.
Occupational hazard. Oh,
Yeah, so maybe it's about both, yes, but you're right. The control point is very valid. I think about our own experiences, and I wonder how much of that goes into this movie. Because if you read other people's comments about these films, they talk so much immediately about how this reminds them of their own experiences. If you go through the IMDb reviews of user reviews, everybody throws their my divorce or my relationship. This is what I lived through for 3 years or shit like that. So
yeah, I mean, I can't pretend like there wasn't anything in there that didn't remind me of some things in my life, and some especially that breakup scene between Jude Law and Natalie Portman, fucking brutal.
yes,
and
at least he
really
says
hit
this
home.
will hurt. At least he says that. I mean, it's just
After
so
a
awful.
fucking year.
Yeah.
I love the way that she makes him like give in and go make tea so that she can leave him. Oh,
Yeah.
Does the fact that they're so indignant in their honesty about these exploitations like make them better, or like not as, you know, do you like that honesty, or do you think it hurts even more?
I think it hurts to like not be honest. Like again, like what Clive Owens, what Larry does, like he cheats on his wife, but he comes home and like he can't even make it to the shower. Like he comes down, and again, I don't think that this character is a good man. Like I think he's a bad person for the most part. I mean, he's a person, whatever. But that, I mean, like if you're gonna cheat, that's probably the way to do it. You know, if you're gonna do it, like don't sit on it for a year. Don't do it for a year and marry your partner in the meantime. You know what I mean? Like at the very least, like be upfront immediately after. I guess. I don't know.
I think 3 of the characters, they all think they know what they want, and Anna's the only one who it's not clear because of the way her personality is.
Mm-hmm.
But the other 3, they have these opinions about what love is and what they want, whether you agree with them or not. They're pretty clear about it for the most part. And the fact that Alice can just immediately, in a moment, I really, again, another scene that I found unbelievable when I watched it a few years back, but now I took a lot more credence in it. When they're in the bed in the hotel towards the end of the movie, and she suddenly just falls out of love with him right there, because his pestering, constant desire to know and to control the situation finally breaks her.
Because she had made the choice to love him, like when she took his glasses, like you were talking about earlier, because he cuts his crust off. Like she makes this choice on that day, even before she even asks, probably, if he has someone at home. Like she makes the choice to love him, and then she tells him, like, when that moment comes, I make that choice, and that's what she does.
She's a great catalyst for everything, and a great kind of mode of comeuppance for all 3 of the characters. I find it interesting that the plaque says that the real Alice died saving the lives of others, and I think it was actually even children. And for Christ's sakes, literally this character is dealing with 3 essentially children, in my opinion, and they're all, you know, at the end of the day, kind of better off for it. And I could make an argument that she did kind of save their lives in a way.
Yeah, but to call them children is to call most of us children. This is a reflection
I would
of
agree
what
with that.
we are. These are adults. We are all adults, and we act like children. Yes, we act like children, but we are adults, and this is just a reflection of all of us in terms of like at least like a Western style of romance relationships. This definitely is just kind of like a mirror pointing at us. Not everybody, but a lot of us. And that's why people tie themselves into this film, I think. And I think that's why this movie is popular with the audience more than the critics, because they just get so emotive from my own personal experiences, Travis's, yours. It's really difficult to not intertwine it with your own experience at some point in the movie.
That whole need to know thing when they're so when they're both like they need to know every little detail about the sex. Like one, like
Oh my God.
that's understandable and relatable, and 2, like also I think it kind of feeds into my homoerotic kind of like theory. And 3, like it's that control again. Like they've lost control of their loved one. They've been with another by learning every possible detail and making their partner like tell them every possible detail. They can feel like they have some measure of control over them again. And Alice recognizes that. It's like it takes as long as, and he realizes it too. It's like, fuck, I fucked up. He doesn't even make it to the elevator. He turns around, grabs the rose, and it was just been moments. And she's like, no, it's over.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Beautiful insight there. And Larry himself, clearly famously calls himself a caveman. And in that scene, it's like, it reminds me of Bill Murray in Groundhog Day when he fucks up on a day and then he tries to take a note of how to fix it for the next time.
Yeah.
Essentially, Larry, for me, he's doing that. He's saying, okay, you are like the conquest of my life, the Anna character. So what will I have to do that will eventually satisfy either you or someone like you? Like, what am I missing?
Right.
Tell me what you desire.
But part of that conquest is about conquering Dan.
Yeah.
Right, like that they both like want to like achieve victory over the other. It's really
It's less about Anna. I think it really is less about Anna.
it is. It's about ego more than all. And so
Yes.
so like Your Friends and Neighbors, we have another movie written by a man about men and how for the most part they get in their own way and like try and control situations and overtalk things and end up kind of like spoiling things by being men.
But at least there's no rape of any teenage boys in this movie. So that's
At least there's not that.
yeah.
Blissfully missing from this film.
Yeah. In the end, wow, we got to wrap this up. Closer, 2004. I mean, is there
Why is
anything
it
else you want
called
to mention?
Closer?
I was
Why is
just
it
going to
called
say that. What's
Because
with
it's
this
about
title?
intimacy, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I think about the closer you get, the more is revealed. I kind of look at it that way. The more you get involved with these people, on the surface, everybody looks like they're normal, but the closer you get, the more chaos is. But I still don't see that being like a clear-cut title, I guess.
They should have called it The Aquarium.
Ah, yeah. Maybe they should have. Maybe they should have called it Two Guys Trying to Get Each Other Off on the Internet.
Yeah.
They should have
There
called
it
it.
is.
They should have called "Put My Wet Knickers in Your Mouth." That would have been a good name for this movie.
Oh boy.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was boy, that seems so dumb.
Oh,
still.
also,
I
speaking
think
of,
that
like,
music now.
British words like knickers. How weird is it when like American, like Julia Roberts and American Natalie Portman are talking about like the loo and like putting tea on and all that stuff. It's always an
Yeah.
awkward moment for me in that movie. Like, just say bathroom. You're talking to
Loo.
American.
Yeah, that is kind of odd. But Alice's character seems like the type of person who really wants to fit in and be on go. That is actually one part of her that I think is obvious, that her desire to feel so worldly, because she says, I'm a waif and I have no things and I'm on the go. But yeah. But with Julia Roberts, it's like, it's much more clear to me. But in the end, we got to call it what it is here. We got to make our final judgments. Was there anything? I know you wrote a lot of notes, Travis. Was there anything we didn't get to that you really wanted to get to before we cover this?
No, I mean there's there is a lot, but no, I think we've said it all. We've said it all.
All right, well, why don't you go first this time, Travis?
I felt like as the movie kind of started, I was like, oh, I'm not so sure. The Damien Rice I love so much isn't holding up as well. I mean, I still like it. I do still like the song, but like, I don't know. The first like half hour or so, I wasn't sure. And there was a few moments during while I was watching the movie, I'm like, I'm not so sure. By the time it ended, like, I felt very emotionally invested in the film. I felt like I was reminded of why I had watched it a lot before. I don't think it's the kind of thing you need to watch over and over again. Like, I mean, when I say I watched it over and over again, I mean, it wasn't like, religiously, but so it's not something that you need to see over and over and over and over again. But if it's been since 2004, you've probably forgotten most of the lessons and stuff, and it's going to hit you differently now that you've lived a little more life. So I would recommend picking this one up again, because I think it holds up. I don't think it's something that you watch, every day, but it's a pretty powerful film. Mike Nichols, man, he's a hell of a filmmaker. We didn't hardly talk about him at all. But yeah, I'm going to say it holds up.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I'll go next. Mike Nichols, we didn't cover him as much because, so he's a great filmmaker, but I just don't think he has to do a lot in this film. But maybe he'll be given a lot more credit. Maybe he's not given the credit he deserves for this film, for making everything the way it ended up, for creating the atmosphere, and for getting his actors to be more connected prior to filming.
He's there, right?
Yeah, exactly. He can do that in films like Charlie Wilson's War and other simpler, not complicated films. He's just kind of omnipresent in a sense. And Closer is, I hate this phrase. No, I'm not going to say a phrase I hate. I refuse to say that.
Oh my
Closer
God.
is a film about people, and it's about relationships. And yes, they are heterosexual relationships, but there are, undertones of other types of desires going on. This is a universally sexual film, regardless. Travis's point early on about the two of them and clearly wanting to dominate, but there's also this homoeroticism going on was really prescient and well thought out. I didn't even consider it. So that's why we do this show. We learn things like that. I don't see any reason to say this movie does not hold up because, again, it goes in this category of films, which we often kind of end up with, where you know what's going on and it can be timeless because of the context and the topics that go on here. Love and relationships and passion and desire and control and fear and being lonely. All these things will always be human elements until we become full cyborgs or, we can just be on autopilot for everything and all the apps cover all of our business. But until that day, you could watch Closer in 2050 and be like, oh man, this is interesting. Online dating may be more, it might be really archaic with the online dating part of this movie.
Cyber sexting will have changed by then.
Yes, it already has. And I'm sure it'll get more ridiculous with that context of the movie. But otherwise, everything else, the dialogue is so damn good. These lines, there's so many quotable lines that you wouldn't necessarily quote at a party, but that you would be like, they stick with you because they remind you of your own experiences and you can recognize what it is that these characters see in what they're trying to accomplish, even if you don't agree with it. It really establishes things so well and so clearly. So this movie definitely holds up for many different reasons, and I'm glad that we got a chance to observe this one.
Wow, that's two so far. So yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about how just rich and gorgeous it's shot by Stephen Goldblatt, the cinematographer. I was really amazed that this guy was nominated for an Oscar only once, not for this picture, but Batman Forever of all things. And it's just everything is just such in this beautiful focus. And it's just, if you're going to have these actors doing their thing, the camera couldn't be in a better place. It's just photographed so gorgeously. A lot of critics that I read in the brief bit I did accuse it of being just like the quote, nothing more than a bunch of sad strangers that are photographed beautifully. But it's so much more when you look into it. You've got these performances that are, some of them are career best. You could probably have to say that about Clive Owen. Even in a performance this kind of despicable, there's no pleasure in this vitriol. Like, I remember a lot of people in the day quoting like, oh, now fuck off and die. Wouldn't it be awesome to like say this to this, like some one of your exes?
A lot of people?
I really do. But there's so much honesty in here. And you got, Jude Law in full pouty mode. I've said it before and I'll say it again. No one pouts like Jude Law, and he is on fire in this. And one of the things that stood out to me about his character is he writes obituaries, right? And it's super easy to just describe or encapsulate people in adjectives or just in a couple of snippy words. And I think the script is defying that in terms of its filmic language. It's giving you complex characters that maybe doing some things you don't agree with all the time, but like you care about them and where the relationships head. In a lot of ways you don't in other films that are kind of like this. It's never boring. The pace just clips along. I think it's a great movie that more people need to see. Definitely holds up.
All right. 3 holds up.
3 holds up. Well done, gentlemen. This one's in the can. Another episode of the Cinema 9 podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for viewing and for all your comments and questions, queries about this film. Do you disagree? Of course, cinema9pod at protonmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram or Twitter, or wherever they allow messages to be directed to us. You can feel free to express yourself ever so eloquently or crudely. We welcome all comers. We really do. All right, so for next week's show, we're doing a listener selection game again, which will lead us into our 1-year anniversary show, which will be in 2 weeks from today. So, which we already have the movie. Are we going to wait to reveal that, or
let's wait to reveal the anniversary one? And we don't have the movie for next week yet either. The selection game is still going on, but I can tell you it's going to be one of the following movies. It's going to be either Trading Places, Lost in Translation, Children of Men, speaking of Clive Owen, which I think that
Fuck.
might be his career
Oh
best.
shit.
Predator, Young Guns, or Little Monsters.
That's right. Little Monsters.
Little Monsters.
Little Monsters.
How did that
That's
get
it,
in
Little
there?
Monsters.
Little
I have no idea, but it's surviving.
Isn't this Deary's library?
Yes,
It
we
is.
thank friend of the show and Palazzo podcast co-host Chris Deary for providing the list of films for us to choose from. So while this is going to very quickly be out of date for people listening in the future, it will be one of those movies in the next episode.
Yep.
Bingo, bango. There it is, folks. Wow. It's going to be a doozy. And then 2 weeks from tonight, we'll do our 1-year episode with our soon-to-be-announced film. We've already chosen it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have tuxedos on. It'll be like one of those anniversary shows like Larry Sanders or Johnny Carson do. We'll really
A lot of clips.
Yes,
from
A lot
earlier
of
episodes.
clips.
spare no expense.
The power has gone out in the studio. You guys want to talk about our old episodes via candlelight?
We'll just be like, kill your own kind all the time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the
There it
old,
is.
the old jokes. We'll bring them all back.
So many classics. Yeah, we don't have to do any work. We'll just do clips. Next week, we'll do listener selection when that is chosen. And that will be going until next Wednesday?
I mean, it's
Or-
going probably just the next day or so. Like it's gonna.
Oh, it'll be done.
I mean, there's only those many options left. So, as you know, people like a few people are voting a day. So
Where can you vote, Travis?
you can vote at Facebook.com.
Cinema 9 Podcast. We have an official page, so search us out if you're not already entwined with us and place your vote.
Okay, there it is. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget, 5 stars on Apple Podcast would be a bonus for the show. It helps us grow and expand and reach a further audience so we can continue to learn about more movies. There's a never-ending supply of films out there. Thank you so much for your time. We'll catch you all next time.
Why do I feel like a pervert?